You're watching No More Flinching TV, Tell Your Story podcast, where truth takes the mic, fear takes a back seat, and testimonies take the lead. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of No More Flinching TV, Tell Your Story podcast. I'm your favorite host, Carlotta Taylor, and today is special. If you're watching right now, let us know where you're tuning in from. Somebody you know might need to hear what's about to be shared. Take a second, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel. Keep your ears and hearts open because there is inspiration in tonight's episode. And you know how we do here. We have the thought of the day. So let me get my iPad and deliver that to you real quick. I thought it was very befitting to have the quote of the day dealing with a warrior mindset. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior by Confucius. All right. So I want to bring up someone, and this is very special to me for more reasons than one. And we'll get off into why that is. So this is going to be a little different with the introduction, but I feel like it's necessary. And sometimes you just got to do what's necessary. So before I welcome you, Jason Sisneros, to No More Flinching TV, let's go here. Ladies and gentlemen, queens and kings tuning in from around the world tonight on No More Flinching TV. We have nothing short of a game changer in the building. He's known across the globe as the architect, a high impact business strategist, investor, speaker, and the founder of Built to Exit, B2X, a business operating system that's changed the lives of entrepreneurs everywhere, from service based companies to healthcare, real estate, construction, online business, and consulting. He has built the blueprint for regaining control of your time, scaling profitability, and exiting on your own terms. This is a man who has not only built sold companies, but also worked side by side with giants like Comcast and Microsoft, proving that his strategies don't just live on paper, they deliver in the real world. But beyond the accolades, what makes him extraordinary is his story, his resilience, and his transparency, and his ability to transform adversity into authority. Now, I first met Jason back in 2019 at the Stan Mansion in Chicago, and from that day to this one, I've had the honor of watching a man who is top tier at what he does, walking proof that you can build wealth, impact, and freedom without flinching. So buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because tonight you are about to hear wisdom and truth. Finally, help me welcome to No More Flinching TV, Jason Cisneros.
Carlotta. Boy, I've been so excited about doing this show with you. I want to start off by saying how incredibly proud of you I am, and just watching everything that you stand for, everything, in the face of adversity, and from your past and from your background and everything that I know about you and that we know about each other. I am incredibly honored to be on your show and so proud of you for how you're showing up in the world. So thank you so much for having me.
Wow,
And,
thank you so
and that
much.
intro, I'm taking you with me. I'm going to probably take that, and it's going to be my intro for the rest of my life.
Hey, let's do it.
Because I even want to listen to me after that.
Let's do it. It's a done deal. You can call me up, take me anywhere. I'm ready to go.
My hype girl.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So I'm super excited. Welcome again, and I'm super honored that you're here. We're going to dive off into these questions, and we'll get into more about how we met and why I'm super excited about this episode especially. It's just a different feeling, and you really feel like home when you get a chance to interview someone that you know is remarkable at what they do as yourself. And then we get to be here today. So let's dive right in and listen. As we do here, you already know No More Flinching TV. Let's go ahead and drop some comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We want to know. And if you have any questions that you want to ask of Jason while he's here, let's take advantage of it. $1 million. And this right here is the opportunity to get some knowledge. So if you have any questions, be sure to drop them in the comments. All right, let's get to it. We're going to talk about the architect's beginning. Okay, Jason, before you were the architect, guiding founders toward intentional exits, what was the foundation of your story? What experiences growing up shaped the mindset you carry in business today?
Great question, Carlotta. You know, and it's interesting. I love this question because your viewers, they're coming to you, they're reading your book, right? They're getting your coaching. They're working with you specifically for what you can do for them, right? And one of the things that I've realized over time is that all of us have some sort of a chat in business, especially, right? There's a lot of trauma response in success. And so I want everybody to know out there that as you hear my story is just mine, you know, and Carlotta's is just hers, but we're speaking to you because of your story. And the idea that you, whatever your background, whatever you came through, you can truly achieve magical things in this world. So mine, you know, I was adopted when I was really young. And my adopted father was a very bad person, did bad things in this world. And, you know, he broke my nose, I don't know, probably 18 times. You know, he adopted me, married my mom, and, you know, and eventually went to prison for attempted murder of me and my mom when I was 17. And whoa. I don't even know if you know that story because
never knew that.
Which is why I love your book and your program so much, because my first love, when I started making enough money to actually give back, my first love was anti-domestic violence, you know, and it came from watching my mom get beat. And when I started like 8 years old, 9 years old, was the first time that I really felt like I could step in front of him. And I took her beatings as many times as I possibly could, you know, and watching her and then hearing the stupid comments like, why didn't she just leave? And, you know, all these things like that people don't understand unless you've been through it. You know, she tried to leave and he would hold my grandmother at gunpoint. She would try to leave again and he would kidnap me. He would, you know what I mean? Like you're a prisoner in your own home sometimes. And so but that was my beginning. And I've gotten to a place, you know, and by the way, when he went to prison, you think, oh, you finally get rid of that. Well, I learned I was carrying drugs and delivering drugs when I was 12 years old and had been fighting a full grown adult my entire childhood. So I became really good at fighting. So I became a collector at 16. You know, and that was my lifestyle. Like I've been stabbed in the chest. I've been shot in the leg. I've been, you know, was in and out of jail in those early years. And because I was doing what was modeled for me, you know, that was what my entire life was going to be, what was around me at the time. And thank God, like I look at you like a fantastic coach, you know, for people that come across your path. And had I not had a wrestling coach by the name of Charlie White, had I not had a football coach by the name of Daryl Holt, had I not, you know, these people that reached out and saw something and I wasn't behaving as you know what I mean? Like I was angry. My own father, who was supposed to love me, didn't love me and was beating the crap out of me and my mom. And so that developed a lot of other characters issues for me, you know, as they say. But these coaches and teachers, by the way, right? You know, I had a Mrs. Ivy in 4th grade that saw me come in. My face was beat up sometimes, and she said, I want you to learn the dictionary, and I want you to start telling stories. And she taught me and caused me to fall in love with the written word. That I could transport myself out of my current experience through stories. And my grandmother, who when I would get beat up so bad, I get locked in my room until my face healed, that she would put a Bible in there with me, and not from a position of religion, but from a series of stories, the stories that I read in the Bible, and and those types of things that transported me out of my current environment, that God ordered my steps all the way back then, right? God ordered my steps. And I didn't know that because, again, that wasn't my attachment. I didn't get baptized until, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Wow.
But I look back and he didn't care. He was just waiting for me, like as he's waiting for everybody, I think. And so anyway, so I did what I knew, because that's what we do, and I had people keep reaching out, and had some amazing opportunities early in my life to say, Jason, you're not living up to your potential. You have so much other things that you can do. And then decided, oh, okay, that led to a place that I call my, where I actually was reborn, where all of the things that I had thought about life and these behaviors, they caused me to get into, I did well with business. I crashed the business. I fell into a deep depression. I went through a divorce, all of those things, to where I was having such severe panic attacks. I couldn't put a sentence together.
Wow.
It was so brutal that I forgot how to read at one point. I was like, I'm trying to go to the Bible, to read the Bible, to get some kind of comfort. And I couldn't read the words that were on, this is what stress does to a human mind, Yeah. And, to a point where I wanted to take my own life. And it was in that moment where I was sitting on a cliff, ready to pull the trigger. I wanted my body to fall in the ocean so that my kids wouldn't have to find me and all that kind of stuff. And I decided, like, I heard the audible word of God say, not yet, to where I turned around and I was like, who's talking to me? You know what I mean? Because it was that verbal. And then I'm like, so that caused, and these are things that are hard to explain to people that haven't had that experience, but it was so real for me that I was like, okay, not yet. Great. I put that aside. But now I'm like, now what? Right? As everybody that's watching your show, as you, like, we get to this place, it's like, okay, if I'm gonna stay here on this planet, now what? Like, you don't want me to leave. What do you want me to do? Like, give me something.
Something, right.
That I can bite into and take off on. And it didn't happen, but about 2 weeks after that, I went to a homeless shelter because I was homeless at the time. And I went in, and the pastor Ricky, who was running the place, he said he handed me a Bible, and I threw it back at him because I was mad at God at the time. And he also handed me another book that was Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. And in that book, it's about that thick. I got one thought. And this one thought was, it's in your moments of decision where your destiny is shaped. And up until that point, I had been blaming my dad, right? We all have daddy issues or mommy issues, or both in some cases. And I had been blaming life, and I was blaming the police who were picking on me, and I was blaming, society, and, Malcolm X was my hero, at the time. And so I got to this place where I got done reading that book, and I went, there's a word in there that's pissing me off a little bit, Carlotta. And it was the word your. It's in your moments of decision. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe that's a key, right? It's in my moments of decision. And then I'm like, you mean everything that I'm experiencing, that I'm going through right now, that's my choice? Like, I picked, and I get mad with myself, but who else am I going to get mad at?
Come on, Jason.
And I was like, who am I going to get mad at? It's like, oh, it's in my, yes, the decisions, the way that I believe, the behaviors, the choices, the anger, the lack of love, the lack of understanding, the lack of education, the lack of all that stuff put me exactly where those behaviors put everybody who behaves that way.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, let me read this book again. Is there any hints in here of what to do instead? Right. And so that began my comeback to where I find myself now. That's a life beyond blessed, but it did start in a really rough place, and it didn't turn around overnight. It didn't turn around overnight. It took years to build and to find people like you that cared enough to put the word out or to seed into my life with really nothing. I had nothing to give them. And to say, you know what, I see potential in you, and to guide me down the right path. And then to end up going on the road with Tony Robbins and being one of his top speakers, and being around all kinds of amazing business owners, and carrying around my stupid little notebook that I still have. It was like full of notes of me going through my mental breakdown, my marriage, my divorce, my business crashing, $2 million in debt. And I would just beg business owners as I was out there being a speaker for Tony, do you have 5 minutes to tell me what you would have done differently in this area? And I did that with Tony for about 4 years. And I ended up with a few different notebooks, full of great wisdom. And I fell in love with God-fearing men. I fell in love with how they showed up for their families. I fell in love with the outcomes that they were achieving in their lives, financial stability, the ability to, see people suffering in life, and the ability that they created for themselves to pull in their pocket and pull out some of that excess to solve some of those problems. And how they showed up, and the service and the employees that they had. And I said, I want to grow up. I want to grow up. And again, keep in mind, I'm early, late 20s, early 30s. I want to grow up to be like them. And so what I had to do was I had to model their behaviors. I had to love others more than I love myself. I had to, tie myself to a set of standards and a discipline, and, and all of those things that tied back to the Bible being in my bedroom when I was a child, and the words that Mrs. Ivy taught me to read and absorb and understand, that would give me a different language to be able to communicate with, other than curse words and other than, all these other things that were out there, all kind of tied together, and step by step by step by step, modeling the people that had what I had, or had what I wanted in life, not monetarily, not that kind, because I had the big house, I had the money, I had a bunch of people that liked being around me. And when I lost it all, they all disappeared.
Whoa.
So I didn't want to build back that way. I wanted to build back people that had friends and families, and, were politically present, and, those kind of things. So I think that's all. It's a very long-winded answer.
And it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but
they like going the long road around here on No More Flinching TV. They don't mind. They don't mind.
Yeah.
But all I want to say is, I'm gonna echo what Angie. It has Angela Ruffner, but her name, we call her Angie. I'm gonna echo what Angie said. Is wow. I would like to consider that was the first question, ladies and gentlemen. And to me, in my opinion, that was episode 1 of Jason Sisneros on No More Flinching TV. He unpacked so many things. No, Jason, you're not getting away that easy. Not tonight. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is so good. I'm already getting normally I start getting chills, Jason, like kind of in the middle of the episode, and it starts getting good, like later on, a few questions in. But you just came in swinging right out the gate. That was so amazing. I want to say thank you for sharing that story. I never knew those things about you, but you are like the reflection of where I believe God wants us to be, like going through that, taking the bad and turning it into good, taking a negative and making it a positive, and going back out in the world and giving back as you do. Is just simply incredible. And we're going to go, and that's a great transition to adversity to authority. You've been transparent about facing challenges early in life as you were. How did adversity transform you into not just a survivor, but a strategist? And what lessons do you carry into every boardroom for those moments?
Mm. Wow, what a question. You know, I think that one of the biggest shift for me during the transformative years that I still carry with me today is as very strategic, um, was the ability to be grateful.
Mm,
And a lot of people are like, you got to forgive. Forgiveness is great. That's a wonderful tool to have.
right.
Gratitude is a step beyond.
Woo.
And it's a step beyond in that I had to go back to my childhood mentally and spiritually and emotionally and become grateful for my adopted father. Be grateful for the man
Mm,
who beat me and beat my mom and and did those things, and to be grateful. And a lot of people are like, how can you become grateful for that? It's because he beat me into the man that I am today. And oh my God, how amazing is that?
mm,
And without him as my adopted father, who would I have been without challenge? Who would I have been? Where would my empathy level have been had I not faced that in my life? And would I have cared? Would I have done the stuff that I've done in domestic violence? Would I have done the child rescues? Would I have, done the feeding of people? Would I have built the big businesses? Would I have freed myself? Would I have set my children up? Would I have met you at an event that was 100% for children? Right?
mm.
Would I have met you in that environment? Would I have been able to speak to those kids where they were when you and I met? Right? There's so many things that I go, wow, I would not change a thing about my upbringing,
Wow.
because God only gives those of us that can take that the ability to go through it. He takes us through it. He gets us through it. He feeds us through it. We survive through it for the reason that he knows that when we get through it, we will have learned how to love those that need us to show up when we're strong.
Yes.
And so as you say, the gratitude is the greatest thing. The thing that I take into the boardrooms is understanding that a business is nothing more than a group of people.
Mm.
And you're
Woo.
dealing with people. And if a business does not exist, but for 3 reasons: to fall in love first, to fall in love with the outcome of someone else. If you're in business to make money for yourself, you might. But if you have a business that you psychologically and with clarity said, there is some suffering that I need to, even if that's air conditioning, even if that's
Right.
plumbing, even if that's getting a house painted, even if that's putting a roof on the set, whatever that is, you have to become a servant to own a business that runs successfully in what we call ethical capitalism.
Mm.
And so when I walk into a boardroom, I know that I'm going to walk into a room full of people who have had hurtful things done to them, that they've made decisions that have been painful for them, and that they have probably taken that and exerted pain onto other people. And so we have a business. That business stuff is really, really easy. The people stuff is where you have to start.
Right.
And if you don't have a heart for service, if you don't have a deeper love for other people than you do your own ego, then you will never succeed long term. You see people like, oh my gosh, they're a multimillionaire, and you see them on fake Instagram, and they've got fake cars, and they've got jets
Right.
that they rented, and they houses that they're renting, and blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff. And then you see nothing because they lost it all.
Right.
It was because they were about the gram and not about the heart.
Mm. Preach.
So that's so that's where, where those lessons have really, really helped me in business and in the boardroom, is understanding I'm dealing with somebody who's probably got a broken heart. I'm dealing with somebody who may be compensating for a broken heart, for some trauma, for whatever that is, and to see them as God sees me, as his child. Not that they're my children, but at the end of the day, God sees me because I am his child. You're his child. Like, people watching, that we are his children. And that doesn't mean we're not going to go through some rough patches because we need to learn things. It just means that he's always there, and that's where we're going to go home to. And so to be, I'll tell you, when I told you I just came to the Lord 4 or 5 years ago, and it was through the rescue team that I was on. Wow. And when I met the guy, I'd rescued with 12 other teams before I met this man. And when I met him, he's like, yeah, come out and rescue with us. I know that this is work you do. And I said, that's fine, but don't come at me with your Jesus stuff, because his rescue team was a ministry. Ooh. And I said, don't come at me with your Jesus stuff. And he said, I won't. No problem. Just come hang out with us.
Come on.
And then I went, and guess what? Miracle happens. Miracle happens. Miracle happens. Miracle after miracle after miracle, just in your face. You can't deny it. It's happening over and over and over again. And I was like, all right, I get it. And that's why I got baptized. Not because somebody was preaching at me, because they were preaching through the decisions and the way that they lived their life. Not perfect. They're not Jesus. He's not Jesus. The family's not Jesus. Nobody who was on that team is Jesus. Flaws, but in love with Jesus Christ.
I love that. Man, I love that. Thank you for episode 2, Jason. That was incredible. Yeah.
All right, see you tomorrow.
No. But what I will say also, I like this. This is fun. I love this. So it's 2 things I really want to really reinforce out of what you said. It was so incredible the way you answered that, and the way you just dove deep into it. But when you talked about gratitude, this is such a alignment with my own story, because I was just earlier today, before we even had a chance to do sound check, because that's as much as we've done as far as communication prior to this interview. I was just thinking about my father and my mom and how I need to go see them, right, in Mississippi. And I was reflecting on how I grew up. And I was actually thinking on being grateful for the good and being able to see the good. Because when you go through trauma, as you and I have, as you're getting older, sometimes it's hard. You don't remember. Well, for me, I didn't remember any good because the trauma was so heavy, right? But now I'm challenging myself to see the good in it. And when you said that, it just really opened up so many doors. And what I love about your story, when you said you met the Lord recently, a few years ago, I love how when they took you in and you were in communication with them, they didn't judge you. And even when you said, hey, as long as you ain't coming at me with no Jesus stuff, a lot of people who are more critic and more judgmental in their Christian walk or their godly walk, or however you want to call it, they probably would have drew the line right there.
Yeah.
But their actions was God-like actions.
Right.
And I'm happy that happened for you. And look at who you are blossoming into today. Thank you for sharing this with us. We're going to dive right into the next one. I want to make sure we don't have any questions. Okay. Once again, do y'all hear what's coming out of Jason's mouth? Y'all better catch this. If you have any questions, please come on, Valerie. I know you are always good with the questions. And if you have any, make sure you drop them in the comments. And as long as they align with what we're discussing, you can get your question answered tonight. Now let's go into number 3.
Episode number 3. I'm going to go ahead and loosen my tie and kind of get ready.
Do that.
Let's do that. We're in episode 3 now. Let's go.
Let's get it. Built to exit. A different kind of blueprint. Built to exit B2X isn't just about business. It's about time, freedom, and purpose. Why was it important for you to build a system that wasn't only about profit, but about alignment and regaining control?
So many directions I could go with this, but I'll just tell you what comes to my mind. And, I think everybody has to pay the bills. You know what I mean? Like whatever you're doing, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, you're not making enough, whatever it is, you got to pay the bills. And the idea sometimes that we forget is that, there's a premise where we started Built to Exit, and it was this premise. I was sitting at a funeral of a family member, and I was thinking to myself, everybody that's here in that coffin is not his car. In that coffin is not his house. In that coffin is not his wealth. In that coffin is the totality of the impact that he had on people that were there. That's what was in that coffin. And thinking about it, because the gentleman was a business owner, I thought to myself, you know what? Everybody exits, right? So are you, as a human, built to exit, to go home to the Father? Is your business, because you are not going to be the owner of your business at some point, right? And that was a gargantuan mind shift for me to go, oh, okay. If we're going to exit, where are we exiting to? And most people get in their business and they're like, well, it's about right now. And I totally understand that, right? I got to pay the bills. I got to pay my employees. I got to pay the rent. I got to pay the car payment. I got to do some social media stuff. I've got to build a podcast, like all of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we understood what that destination is, when I got baptized, my destination changed because I'm going to heaven. Now I can go, okay, cool. Let me reverse engineer to where this sinful body is. And what are the things that I have to modify in order to be able to exit the way that I want to?
Come on,
right?
now.
And along the way, my children, I want the last name for my last name to mean something to my kids. I want my wife to be held high and in esteem and be taken care of. And, and I want all of his, and at my funeral, I want people to be having a hell of a party, telling stories of when they interacted with me, right? Because those are the things that matter. And yes, money matters. It's part of the game. I get it. So you reverse back into what is your business. All right. I'm not going to own my business forever. I'm going to do what I do. And then if I build it correctly, I can sell that to somebody else and take that money that purchases my freedom. Pastor Rudy said something to me when we were on a rescue one night, and it was, it's late nights. You don't eat, you sleep wherever you fall down. And when we're looking for these kids, and he said, Jason, he goes, you know what? A slave can never free another slave. And that's punched me in the face, because I was like, I wanted to be mad. I wanted to argue with him, but I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep on this a couple nights.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, where am I a slave? What am I a slave to? Right? What if I don't have enough money to make the choices that I need to make when God puts something on my heart and says, you know what? We have to go to this country. There's 40 kids over there. We're going to have to go up against some bad guys. We're going to have to, pay for everything. And that's going to cost $150,000. If money is a part of that equation, I'm not free.
Right.
I can't take off from my business to go do that. I'm not free. If I'm addicted to alcohol, if I'm addicted to drugs, if I'm addicted to pornography, if I'm addicted to sadness, if I'm addicted to any of those things, then I am not truly free.
Ooh.
And so therefore I can put on an act of freeing other people, but I'm not genuinely doing it because I myself am not free first.
Wow.
So monetarily, your business is a segment of how you free yourself. And correspondingly, the more you free yourself from earthly bonds and trying to impress people who don't like you in the first place, right? And trying to, drive things and fly things and put stuff out there. You follow me on Instagram. I don't put any of my stuff out there because it's not, if anybody likes me for that, they like me for the wrong reasons.
Right. That part.
What I stand for. Yes, I've got some nice stuff. Yes, I've freed myself financially, but for the people that I want in my life, I want them to come because I've got something to help them with. Whether that's their business or this conversation or a conversation about Jesus Christ or, whatever comes up that I can serve, that's what I want them to come to me with. And so, so at the end of the day, you go, your business should be built to exit. Yes, financial is a big piece. And all of the things that you free yourself from, the trauma, from the addictions, from, your behavior, from all of those things, your business gets better. Because a really well-built business is biblical in how you run it. You have to fall in love with in service to someone else. You're washing someone else's feet.
Yes. Come on, Jason.
Okay. And then you're wanting to do that for more and more people. The people that work with you in your company as vendors, as referral partners, or whatever it is, you also have to serve them. Why are you working with me is one of the most important questions that we ask anybody in any of my companies, right? Is why are you working here? Let's get you free financially, right? And that's the core of ethical capitalism versus unethical capitalism. And I think that people see the bad side of like big business and they're, coordinated with big politicians. And I don't care. Republicans, Democrats, they've all lost most of them have lost the story. They're serving themselves.
Ooh.
Politicians are supposed to be public servants. Their job, if they had a business, would be, hey, Carlotta, what can I do for you and your business? Hey, Carlotta, what can I do for you and your family? Hey, Jason, what could we do to make the roads better over here? But it's not. They go there and they get rich by stealing from us. They go there and they get rich by having conversations with unethical large corporations, multinationals. I don't have to name any of them because they own stock and they get rich off of each other and they're passing hands, and I'll pass a law so that you as the unethical capitalist can have an unfair advantage over Carlotta, who's building her business and coming up and serving people better and getting better at what she does. But you want to pass a law against her so that she can't succeed. Built to exit is the first piece on the chessboard for me to bring all business owners together under a bigger umbrella, which I'm going to announce later this year, for all of us to do business with each other, because it's diversified income that makes us and gives us the ability to be free. Every single war that has been fought in any realm was won and lost at the bank.
Woo.
Those who had the money won the war. Okay? And as groups of people, as groups of human beings, we as business owners are 33 million people in the United States. 33 million of us who do 17 trillion. We do about 60% of the GDP. That's $17 trillion. That's bigger than most of the biggest businesses combined. Wow. We do 60% of the hiring. 90% of the jobs in this country are people working for small businesses. We are not non-essential. We are not people that can, and we're diversified, which means they can't control us.
Wow.
The first thing that you want to do when you control a people, and I'm not talking about any race or sexual, I'm talking about anybody who's not them, is the first thing that you do is you shut down their ability to do business.
Ooh.
You lessen their ability to make profit based on their own intellectual ventures, their own beating back of their demons and overcoming and falling deeper in love with other people's outcomes. You cheat. You have to cheat to beat a Carlotta or a Jason Sisneros. You have to cheat. Stop passing laws. Don't cheat. You want to compete with us? You want to compete with everybody that's growing their businesses? Leave it a level playing field. So people ask me about Built to Exit, why it exists. It's the first piece on the chessboard for us to take back this power and to lead ethically, because that's the only way you're going to have a long-term successful business is by ethical standards, by ethical principles, right? And you don't have to be a Christian. I'm not saying you don't have to, but there are good people who are not Christians, right? But it's a set and a standard that if you run your business that way, then you will be successful. And then you get so big that now you think you don't have to. It's an ebb and a flow, and we got to go beat some giants back so that we all have the opportunity, not the guarantee, the opportunity to be able to take a business and change our family stars.
Incredible. That was episode 3. For real. Oh my gosh.
If we're doing an episode 4, I might have to take the tie off. We might be
okay, whatever you want to do, Jason. All right. So, man, I am just through the roof with I'm taking notes on the side. I'm listening, I'm getting chills, I'm getting inspired, and I'm thinking no more flinching. Then I'm thinking Built to Exit. I'm like, I can see that. I'm definitely going to have to get more information on Built to Exit, because it seems like everybody needs to be a part of Built to Exit. That's what it seemed like to me. It's what I'm feeling. I really want to know more about that, because I feel like that's something everybody needs to know about. Listen, if you're tuning in right now, you're listening to the wonderful, amazing Jason Sisneros. And if you are enjoying what you're hearing tonight, you should be sharing the live. Make sure you let YouTube know that you like it here and that you are really indulged in what is happening. So you have to do those things on the internet, like the live, share the link, and do those type of things so the algorithms can do what they do. All right. I know at least 2 to 3 people that need to hear Jason tonight live. All right, Jason, before we go to episode 4, we have one question for you by Valerie Smith. She asked, Jason, when did you fully forgive your adopted father, being cognizant of that forgiveness is not an easy walk in the park?
Yeah. Great question, Valerie. Thank you for asking. And I don't know that there was a date that I can remember. I do remember the feeling of, that when I will say for years, I said I forgave him because I thought that was the word. Right. And for years, it didn't feel right because I didn't forgive him. I was still carrying around in my heart, but it was a preacher and a message that brought me that word of gratitude. And it wasn't forgiveness because, he did the things that he did. Mm-hmm. I don't know what else to say. Like, he did what he did. But I did become grateful for him, which was a different word for me. I don't know that I've ever fully forgiven him. I don't know that I ever will. He's since passed on, and and again, like, I'm not a perfect human being. I was happy the day that I found out that he passed. Like, I'm not supposed to admit those things in public, but one of the things about my message, very well, Carlotta, is I don't bullshit people.
Right.
So
and don't. Yeah.
But I am grateful for him. I can say that from the bottom of my heart that I am grateful for him. So good question. I don't know if that's a solid of an answer as you're looking for, but that's the truth of the matter.
Okay. Thank you for answering that question, Jason. Thank you so much, Valerie, for asking that question. And I really like that. And I thank you for your transparency, because that's what people need. Sometimes people are just afraid to say what they really feel and what they're really thinking. And so when people like you and I actually do it, they're like, okay, that's what I was thinking anyway. I wanted to say that anyway. That's so right. It makes it okay for other people to like walk in their transparency as well. And man, I'm super excited, man. This is amazing.
I think my wife probably wishes that I didn't, sometimes, but she's just as outspoken as I am. So it's probably why she married me,
Well, that's good. That's good. And yeah, I hope we gotta unpack the marriage thing, because the last time I saw you, you were not married when I saw you. And I
very
saw,
true.
hey, a lot of things have transpired since.
Yep.
So before I go to the next question, I do want to shout out Angie. She's already saying that she needs you to come back for a part 2. We still in episode 4.
Carlotta, anytime you text or call, it's got when people become my family, I have a saying: anytime, anywhere, for any reason.
I love that. I absolutely love that, man. Thank you so much, Jason.
My pleasure.
I appreciate that. All right, so let's talk about scaling without losing soul. A lot of entrepreneurs fear scaling because they think they'll lose the soul of their company. How does B2X help founders expand profitability without losing the heart of what they've built?
Yeah. Great question. And it comes down to the premise. One of the premises where we start, which I wish more people would do it. And I talk about it all the time. So more consultants can just steal what I say and start doing it. Is to have a real heart to heart. It takes the fear of being rejected to tell the truth to somebody who needs to hear it. And I say that quite often. I say things to people that I love, and I'm, because I know God put it on my heart that I'm the only one that can say it. I need to say it. And I'm thinking in my head before I say it, I'm like, I don't want to have this conversation because I love this person. Right. And what if they get pissed off and leave? Right. And in business, if you're constantly, when you come from a place of lack or, inefficiency or, those type of things, when you come from that, you have a little bit of a fear. And so you'll couch your words, you'll trim them back. You won't say the things that you need to the person that you're trying to serve. And I know that one of the very first places that you have to start with a business owner is, where does this end? Okay. When does this end? Now, what is that end? It doesn't mean, okay, well, I'm going to get rid of this when I'm 50 years old. No, there's a moment in time that you have bought back your freedom. And everybody has a different number, right? Your freedom has to be purchased, period, end of sentence. What is your freedom number? Is it a $200,000 house that needs to be paid off, a couple of cars that need to be paid off, $1 million in the bank that's spinning off 10%? This is the great conversation to have, because otherwise you're doing what 95% of the businesses are doing, which is failing. That number has not changed for 80 years, Carlotta. 90 to 95% of companies do not see their 10th birthday. Why? Because they're playing the game of these fake ass gurus that are out there that are doing nothing more than selling a hope and a dream and patting them on the bottom and telling them, rainbow stories and not giving them the right information. And so they buy that and it doesn't change their behavior. When we're talking about your business, so now you're like, well, you got to have top of mind marketing, right? You have to have social media. You have to have, wait. Before all of that, what is your freedom number? The only reason you're playing the game of business, you may think it's for survival right now, and that may be true, but the only reason you're playing the game of business is to buy your freedom back. And if that is not what you're focused on, your money will go to stupid places, like buying a car you don't need to impress people who don't like you.
Right.
Trying to upgrade your home into a neighborhood of people who will just judge you, right? To put yourself in deeper debt, you become broke at a higher income. Doesn't change. Your debt levels don't change. Just your stress levels go up. But if I know that I've got a target of $1.5 million for my freedom number, now you can't stop me, and none of this nonsense of the world will impact my decision making. Why? Because $1.5 million is a number that anybody watching you can easily make. When you're focused on that as the target, the money, the extra money goes into your freedom account. The extra money goes into your freedom account. It doesn't go on a trip to Paris to get the gram, right? It doesn't go on a car that you don't need. It doesn't go on clothes that you don't need. It goes towards your freedom fund. And how do you fill that faster? By serving people better at what you do, right? Being able to get them to tell their people, hey, you need to use Carlotta for this. You need to use Jason for that, right?
Yeah.
That word of mouth. I have done everything that I've done in my life. I have spent $0 on advertising Jason Sisneros. $0. Now that may not last forever as we're trying to grow, build to exit and whatnot, but I've done it because when I meet people like you, Carlotta, we have honest conversations. We support each other. You write a book.
Yes.
I tell everybody I love your book. You tell people you love me. We have this conversation, and then
Absolutely.
the right people hear about us, and we get business from it, right?
Yes.
And that's what leads to conversations like this, because I knew what my freedom number was. Now, when I reach it, I'm free. Guess what? They have this little thing that everybody talks about called FU money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's called free you. Free you money. I just did a podcast on this whole thing. Free you money. And that free you money means now I'm living life on my terms. It's my terms. I don't like you. I ain't doing business with you. Right? I don't want to go do that thing. I'm not going to go do that thing. Oh, I need to go do this thing in my charity. I'm going to go do that thing because I'm free. Now, on top of that, I go, cool. Now I go, what's my next level? What's my next level, right? I've developed a program for B2Xers that get to that place because there's a word that most business owners need to learn, and it's called enough. Let's use Elon Musk for an example for a second, okay? Wealthiest man on the face of the planet, wealthiest man that's ever lived in probably the history of mankind, okay? And I listen to interviews a lot with Elon and what he has to say. And I listened to this interview one time, and I stopped, like I was doing something, listening to it, and I stopped cold because he got asked a question by this interviewer, and he said, "Okay, as we're ending the thing, tell us entrepreneurs, what do we have to do to get to, to be successful and to do the kind of things that you're doing?" The thing I love about Elon is he might be on the autism spectrum, so I don't think he knows how to lie, but in those moments anyway, he may be a great liar. I don't know him personally. So, but he pauses as he always does, and he answers thoughtfully. And the answer was, he goes, "I don't wish this on anyone." What does that tell me? That tells me that the richest man in the world hates the life that he's built, and he has no opportunity to exit. I don't want his life.
Come on now.
I reached my level of enough. Now there's never enough easing suffering in the world. That's my measurement. How much suffering can I ease by having a conversation with you? How much money on the scoreboard do we need to make to free a child? Right? There's 30, and I do everything by numbers. It's $3,400 on average to save a child from trafficking. Okay, great. Then we know our math. Every 11 minutes, a woman is being beaten in her home. Okay. Every 4 seconds, somebody dies of starvation. Not starvation related, starvation. In a world of abundance where there's enough food, but it's about control and all these other things. If I'm going to attack these things, I got to reduce those numbers, right? We got to increase the amount of time. Those are the measurements. And so now I know and I'll never be done serving until I'm called home to the good Lord. Because there's a lot of people who are like, we're going to end suffering. No, you're not.
Right.
No, you're not. I don't care what it is. You're not. Right. You're not gonna end it. What you can do is what you were put on this earth to do.
That's right.
And that is serve. And in that service, you will ease suffering for those that God put you in their path.
Absolutely.
So that's another long-winded answer, I suppose.
No. That was just episode 4. That's all. That's all it was. It's the vibe, and I really appreciate that. You really dove in and really answered that to a T. And a lot of people in the comments are saying that they thank you, and they said that you are a great coach, a great, amazing business coach. It's been a lot of great things being said while you're talking. I'm not sure if you were able to catch it, but I know you were pouring out. I just want you to know those were some of the things that were being said. So now we're about to talk about the cross industry effect. You work with businesses across industries: healthcare, real estate, construction, online services, consulting. What are the common pitfalls you see that keep entrepreneurs stuck, and how do you help them break through?
Great question. It might sound a little repetitive, but it's a little bit of a different angle. Every business, I don't care what it is, has 3 things in common. Number 1, that they are there to, and I started this earlier, but your business is set up to do one of 3 things, or all 3 things: make people money, save people money, or measurably improve the quality of their life. And most businesses don't like, I ask people, like, what does your business do? And they'll be like, well, I'm a roofer. Okay. Does that make people money, save people money, or does it dramatically, and measurably improve the quality of their life? Great. Now we can get into what your business actually does. What problem are you actually solving? I've always said, I get some of those accolades about being a great, business architect and all those things. And I hope they're true. I love what I do. But I always tell people the greatest piece of advice that you could get is go watch the cartoon, The Robots. Right. And it was the comedian. Oh, what was his name? He was one of the robots in it. And his name's on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, you can go watch it. But in this, it's a cartoon, and it's a bunch of robots, and there's robots that needed spare parts because they couldn't afford like the fancy new gear, and and this company called Big Weld, they would make extra spare parts for these people that these robots that couldn't afford it. Well, then the new owner comes in, and unethical capitalism takes over, and he's like, screw all those people, they can't afford our stuff, so screw them. We're not going to make we're just going to make rich stuff for rich robots. And the best piece of advice, the robot that started that company was this guy called Big Weld, and he had one statement. He said, see a need, fill a need.
I like that.
That's your business model, right? That's your business model. And if you've forgotten that, it starts to get confusing, and you talk to gurus and they make it confusing. And the greatest way to lie to people that they know something you don't is to make it confusing. Marketing. Yeah. Oh, let me talk about duty, and this algorithm and this funnel and this blah, 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 blah. Shut up. Okay. Marketing should do one thing, and that is create a lead from your target audience. That's it. You come at me with all your marketing, material, and tell me how great you are at marketing and all this stuff. Great. I'm going to pay you $10,000. And how many leads is that going to produce for me? Oh, well, I can't do, we don't know. Well, you don't know. What business are you in? I asked this to a marketing guy the other day. What business are you in? He said, oh, we make websites look phenomenal. I go, no, young guys that I was helping, kind of mentor. And I said, and he's like, well, I make them look amazing and people want to do business with their web. I'm like, I don't even know if people look at websites anymore. Maybe that's great. But let's say that it is to make a beautiful website. Why? Well, because if you don't have a website, then you're not really a real business. And I'm like, really? Right? Why? What do you do, Mr. Marketing Guy? He couldn't tell me. I said, look, write this down and you will be the richest marketing person on the planet. You create leads. You don't close them because that's the business owner's job, right? But you create and bring to me the person that I need to have a high quality conversation with. The rest of that's my job in my sales department, right? But that lead is who I need to talk to because they are this person, they have this kind of job, they make this kind of income, and but you can go find them for me, can't you? Well, it doesn't quite work that way. No, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. Because of all of the fancy stuff that's don't know great marketing people. They say we do these things which you don't care about, but at the end of it, you pay me $10,000. I'm going to bring you 20 leads. Now I can do math.
Yeah.
I can say, okay, out of those 20 leads, I know that I'm going to close 40% of them. And out of that 40%, I know the LTV, the lifetime value of that customer is going to be somewhere around $125,000 times, whatever, 6 is called. So I know that the $10,000 I'm going to give you will result in about $500,000 for me and my company. That's a deal I'll do all day long and twice on Sunday. Do you guarantee me those 20 leads?
Ooh. Clock it. Man, he over here spitting out gems. Are y'all listening? Make sure you're sharing. Make sure you're letting YouTube know that you like it here. What they say over there in Guyana, big up the live, Angie. So yeah, y'all do that. We're gonna ease into episode 6 with Jason Sisneros tonight. And Valerie, we will get your question answered. I'm gonna hold it until the end, till we get close to the end, okay? And so let's go into lessons from global giants. All right, Jason, you've collaborated with household names like Comcast and Microsoft. What's one universal principle you've seen at both the corporate level and with small businesses that determines whether a business thrives or fails?
I'll reach into Elon Musk because it's a concept, right? I think most people that are in business already have a level of brilliance that is beyond most of the world, right? We're only 10% of the world, people that own and run businesses. And one of the common things is the ability. And there's two concepts. There's noise and there's signal, right? And this comes from Elon. And noise is all of the things that are trying to get your attention in the world. Everything. It's like the marketing and the social media, and I'm scrolling too much, or I'm watching television, or I'm going to the bar, or that stuff's noise. If you have a target, if you have a freedom number that's set up, there's going to be what's called signal coming off of that, right? And that signal that's coming off of it is telling you the things that you need to do, either historically present or things that are coming in the future with your business. That signal will be, okay, I've got 5 customers and I need to find out from them, what we've done really, really well to support them and to serve them. If 2 of them don't like us that much, how can I fix that relationship? The 3 that I am serving, what did we do really, really well? That's signal, right? That's signal that I can take and I can build that machine that is going to create the amount of revenue that I need to free myself. Noise is easy pill, guru, this seminar, that seminar. Buy this stuff from the greatest marketing guru that's out there, and then don't ever use the stuff, right?
Right.
But let's celebrate how much money that was ripped off out of people's, drawers that night, and say, oh, you look how much that person made. I don't care about how much that person made. How much is that information going to make the people that invested in it, right? So signal and noise. The other thing is investment. The mindset of an investor. If you are going to part with $1, how much is going to come back? If I buy a fancy car and that fancy car is $100,000, as soon as I drive it off the lot, I just lost $50,000.
Yeah.
right? I may have some tax benefits and I may have some of those other things. But now if that car is okay, I could pay $10,000 for a car, might not be that fancy, but who cares? You know,
Right.
who cares what it looks like? If somebody does care, and I'm just telling you, like the richest guy in the world, the Berkshire Hathaway, right? He drives a pickup truck that probably costs, I don't know, $4,000. You know, who cares? Nobody cares, right? Like that, you know, I mean, that's been one of my big sayings for a long time is nobody cares, you know, and they don't care that you have a Mercedes that is too much money. And, you know, and I don't know, they don't care. I mean, you could be on a skateboard and solving their problem. They could care less.
Mm.
You know, and that's Warren Buffett, right? Warren Buffett, he lives in the same single story house in Omaha, I believe it is, and drives a pickup truck that I think's worth $4,000. He's worth billions. So it's shifting your mindset to finding signal, knowing what your target is, you know, and nothing is, it's non-negotiable, and that's your target. It's very personal to you. Knowing that everybody around you has a freedom number of their own, and the more you help them get with their freedom number, the easier and faster you're going to get yours.
Right.
And then knowing and understanding that you are an investor. I don't care if you're broke with $10 in the bank right now. I don't care. I was $2 million in the hole when I came out of my first businesses.
Wow.
I celebrated the day that I became worth $0. I was like, that's an amazing day. I owe nobody, no dollars. I'm good. Now we start to build. So those are the three things that I would say are super important for every business owner to grasp.
Outstanding. That is incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And now let's shift into personal transformation and business transformation. All right. You often say business success mirrors personal growth. Can you share a moment when transforming yourself personally created the biggest breakthrough professionally?
Yeah, I would say, you know, there was a all right, I'll tell you a little story. I think that biggest breakthrough came on a toilet. I don't think I've ever told this story. Maybe I have, but I don't think I. And I'm sitting there on the toilet. Yeah, I'm sitting there on the toilet, and I'm playing this stupid little game called Angry Birds. And I'm playing it. And I'm sitting on that toilet, and I'm like, man, why? And I loved it. I loved the game, and I started to think about, why do I like this game? Right? And then I started thinking, well, who owns this company? Right. So I start doing research, and I'm going, oh, it's a company called Rovio. And I'm like, this, you know, I paid whatever, 99 cents or whatever for the app. Right. And I'm like, I want to find out more about this company. How much money are they worth? $2 billion.
Whoa.
Like, $2 billion. How many people are sitting on the toilet, you know, pulling back a pig and knocking birds off, or a bird back and knocking pigs off this thing to get to a couple $2 billion? What the hell? And that drove me down into to another, the core thing. So I don't lose it in the message is curiosity. Right. This is the thing. So I got curious. I kept following. I kept going. It drove me to a psychology called game theory. And I thought, when I got into game theory, I was like, man, I wonder how I could apply that to business. Because ultimately, the way that they became a $2 billion company was by having us get dopamine hits. The reason why people are addicted to these phones is because of dopamine hits. And I started to think about, where did most people spend most of their life? At work.
Yes.
What are we doing in my businesses at the time when I was sitting on that toilet? What am I doing to make sure that my people who work with me are getting dopamine hits? Do they feel like they're playing a game when they're at work? Are they enjoying what they do? Is competition actually healthy in a work environment? And so it brought about this entire mind shift and business shift for me to turn every business that I had then and ever since into a gamified situation for everybody that works for me. Like, okay, somebody comes to work for us. One of the first things we do is we say, okay, if we could give you Mickey's magic wand and wave it over your job, what would you do? Well, I really want to go to Paris. Okay, let's get it. Let's find a price for Paris. Number one, why? Oh, it's because my family has always wanted to go there and I've never been able to go. One of the ones that was very, very dear and near to my heart was this gentleman. We were doing this exercise as we were doing a turnaround on one of their businesses. And I picked him because he was one of the executives. And I kept asking him, and he kept giving me these dumb answers like, oh, it's because I love the CEO here, and I love the job, and I love my team. And I'm like, nah, this is bullshit. Tell me, like, why are you actually working? Right? What is it what you want to do? He's like, well, I want to take my wife to Hawaii. I go, that's not it. Like, it's got to be something deep, And so he finally started crying. And everybody's like, oh my God, you made this guy cry in a board meeting.
Jason.
I go, that's it. What is that? He goes, you know what I'd like? He goes, I'd like to be able to take my son to the NBA finals. And I said, tell me why that made you cry. He said, my dad passed away 3 days ago. And on his deathbed, he said, I could never afford to take you to those basketball games you wanted to go to. And it's the biggest regret of my life. And within 24 hours after saying those words to him, he passed away.
Whew.
You never know what means something to someone until you ask.
Wow.
And then if you are a true leader, you will move heaven and earth to deliver that thing through your machine that God gifted you, the talent and the ability and the eye blink of time.
Yes.
When people of any color, creed, religion, sexual preference can step out and start their own business to change their family, their family stars. That's the biggest thing that I learned. And one of my biggest life change, it's what curiosity took me to. Right? Curiosity took me to asking better questions, not coming up with better answers.
Wow. I mean, talk about no more flinching. That right there was it in high fashion. And that was the educational lesson in episode 8 with Jason Sisneros on No More Flinching TV tonight. Wow, Jason. That made me tear up. I thank you for sharing that. And you've hit so many aha moments. If you're just tuning in with us, we're here with the amazing Jason Sisneros, who is breaking down everything you need to know about business 101 and 1001. Okay, amazing story, incredible leadership, and you really should have a pen and pad and write down. If you can't catch everything on the first take, make sure just to keep rewatching this until it sinks in. You ever have a good book and you can't just read it one time? Well, I consider this episode to be just that. You're not going to be able to just listen one time. And I know I will be going back myself to rewatch this because there's so many lessons to be learned in this episode. We thank you for that, Jason. So now we're going to tread into episode 9. Okay. In 2019, man, what an amazing time at the Stan Mansion Connection. We first connected in 2019 at the Stan Mansion in Chicago. And I had no idea that I would be moving to Chicago then. None. Wouldn't even have thought. And I've had the privilege of watching your journey up close. Looking back from then to now, how have you evolved both as a leader and as a man?
Oh boy, how have I evolved? I think one of the things that again, before pride goes the fall, right? But one of the things I am proud of is the fact that I am in constant evolution. I love this question. I love this question. And the answer The answer is, the biggest shifts in my life came from becoming a Christian and then meeting my wife. Like you said, when you met me, I was single.
Right.
With and had money and everything that goes with that.
Yeah.
and I had a very, very, now that I think about it, because I just told the Pastor Rudy thing of don't come at me with your Jesus stuff. I was going, everybody's like, oh, when are you going to settle down? I'm like, how about never? how about I don't do that? Like, that's not that. I had been married when I was too young to be married. And then I got married for the wrong reason, and I had those episodes behind me, and I was like, well, there's one consistent thing in my failed marriages, and it was me.
Jason.
So maybe that's a portend of things to come, as they say, right? And so I had a very, very different mindset. I was never going to get married again.
Wow.
Had my kids, did it, done, got the t-shirt. I'm done. Good. But that's until, you tell God your plans and he laughs in your face.
Right.
And he sends me a woman like Emily.
Come on, Emily.
And I can't tell you what a gift from day one that woman has been in my life. And there's no two ways about it. It's like, that she was made for me.
Wow.
It's every day, like from going to, I'm not going to get married. And then now 8 years into our relationship, 2 years into our marriage, and we're around each other all the time.
I love
it. This podcast is about the longest time I've been away from her in the last, the last month. We do business together. We work out together. We go to sleep together. We wake up together. We read the Bible together. We go to church together. We travel together. We're around each other all the time. And I can't believe that I can't wait to see what comes next. You know what I mean? And so the biggest transformation for me was, all right, those things that I stood hard on, as beliefs in my life were some of the things that were blocking some of the greatest joys. And not believing, like just believing marriage wasn't for me. Wow. What a gift. Like they say it's in the Bible that a wife is a gift.
Yes.
And marriage is a gift from the Lord. And for us to love our wives as God loves the church. And you know what I mean? Like there's all these things that you just can't fathom it until you open up that inner part of you and just let it go. And that other person lets it go. And there's garbage in there and there's like stuff but at the end of the day, you go, I see you, you see me, and I'm here for you and you're here for me. And that shift, right? The questions that I get into asking, if I went into that marriage, probably as I did in my first one, what am I going to get out of this?
Yeah.
This is where I go to give. And I had to ask the question, as I tell people in business, you got to ask that question. What do you want out of life? What does freedom look like for you? I had to ask her, what makes you feel loved? And then commit to delivering those things for the rest of my life and embellishing on it and being better at it and delivering just like I would my clients. Is that this woman who's chosen to walk side by side, shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow with me for the rest of my life. Why would that not be my practice on how to deliver the highest level of service in life? And so that's been the biggest shift for me in a big way, that, we got baptized together. I asked her to marry me on the same beach that we got baptized with, Pastor Rudy, who baptized us was the one that married us. There's just so many blessings in that journey that I've had. And again, part of it growing up. I mean, I'm 50, whatever, 3 or 4 or whatever they have. I've lost track because I don't care anymore. But,
Right,
you know,
exactly.
I just feel like I'm getting started, Carlotta.
Come on now. Man, Jason, this is amazing. I really love this story. And I'm so happy for you and your wife. I think that's so beautiful. I was clapping and cheering in the backgrounds, from social media side. And actually, I'm just going to throw this out there, and then you can. But I was recruiting. Uh, Let me know if you can hear me. But I've been recruiting co-hosts. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Got you loud and
Okay,
clear.
good. All right, great. Because I did see a little fizzle. But I've been recruiting co-hosts for an episode that I want to do on dating in relationships in 2025. I think you have some good wisdom, to bring to the table on that. So I do have one other co-host. I would love for you, and I'm just saying this right now because it just hit me. I love the way that you talked about your wife and how you all met. And I remember seeing you when you were single.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I would love to have you be a part of that. I think that'll be exciting.
Anytime, anywhere, for any reason.
Oh, I love it. All right, we have 2 more questions, and then we also have Valerie's question. Before we wrap up for the night, this is so incredible, and I think it's very befitting to talk about legacy versus lifestyle right now. So when it comes to wealth, freedom, and purpose, how do you guide entrepreneurs to balance living the life they want now while also building a legacy that outlives them?
This is such a great subject, and I want to make a clear distinction between the word rich and the word wealthy. And the difference between the two is cash versus assets. Okay? And the difference between those two is being a consumer versus being an investor. It's a very, very, very different mindset. And just by saying, you know what, I'm going to be an investor in my life, it changes the way that you view everything. And it changes the view. Like, might be going down to the liquor store to grab me a bottle of tequila, and I'm like, wait a minute, like that's going to be $60,
Right.
Is there something better I could be doing with that $60? Yeah, I could go down to, instead of that, just turn right and go to the bookstore, right? Buy myself a book on whatever. If you're a chef, a cookbook, those types of things. I'm going to go to the bar and I'm going to hang out with 4 or 5 of my friends. Well, wait a minute. That's investing my time. And what's the return going to be on that? Hangover, maybe some trouble, blah, blah, blah. Or maybe what I could do is go to church. Or maybe just go hang out by myself. Right. And invest that time in education. Right. My wife, one of the things that my wife loves is she loves music big time. Like she knows the words to every song. And she's got this gorgeous voice. And, she'll be like, don't tell people that, because then they'll ask me to sing. And I'm like, you should sing. But but I can't, whenever we're together, I'm like, she's like, why don't you ever sing with me? And I'm like, I don't know the words. She's like, well, okay, well, what about from 2010? And I'm like, I don't know the words. How about, you have to go back to like the 80s for me to know the words to any songs, because when I made my transformation from consumer to investor, I started to invest my, what we call net time, no extra time, right? Driving, working and listening to something or whatever. I stopped listening to music almost entirely and started listening to books on tape. Right. This out now you know how old I am. And started listening to information that could grow my mind. And that connected all the way back to my conversation with Mrs. Ivy in 4th grade. Words will transform your life. Right? Shakespeare, the most famous, everybody knows when you speak his name who Shakespeare is. Well, guess what? He invented a couple of thousand words to express his emotions, to express ideas. He made them up. He's responsible for thousands of words entering into human lexicon so that he could express himself. The more
Wow.
words that we have, the less violence exists. The more conversation that we have, the less death occurs, right? The more conversation that we have, the more innovation happens. The more innovation happens, the more that what was once held for the wealthy can now be utilized for everyone. The life extension because of better medicines, all of those things happen because of words, not war, right? And so I would say, I don't even know what the question was anymore. It doesn't matter because we went down this path. But
Right.
but at the end of the day, I would just say investing that time. From rich to wealthy. And
Yes.
wealthy means that you own your own time and that you are now investing that freedom into your own family and then to the wider world at large through maybe a charity or whatever that is. That's the
Yes.
difference between being rich, which is temporary, and wealthy, which is legacy and can lead to more choices for your bloodline and for your community and for the charity that you love to give to.
Outstanding. Man, this has been so incredible. And I am just really excited. Although we've been here for a little minute, I still feel like, man, it's going to come to an end already. But I know we've been here for a while.
It's been an hour and a half. This has been awesome.
It's been incredible, Jason. Man, I didn't know this. I like that cup, by the way. Can we see the cup? Yeah, B2X. That's the business. Yes. Yeah. Built to exit.
Built to exit. Built to exit.biz if you want to go check it out.
That has an anointing on it. You know what I'm saying? I like the vibes.
It's from it. It's not for me. I can promise you.
Yeah.
It's not for me. We there's a whole story in that, but but I know, again, when I announce to the world what B2X is the first piece of, it'll make complete sense that this was given to me by God.
And so was No More Flinching, by the way.
Yes.
That's a whole another conversation. I don't think I've ever shared that openly, but one day I will. And Jason, your story is incredible, very touching. I had no idea that you had went through such adversity as a young boy, growing up. And I can identify with that, obviously. And man, just incredible. You gotta go back and catch the replay. Make sure you share this out. Jason, if you would, before we ask the finale question, because this is the question that everyone gets asked here, can you let us know how we can stay connected with you? How can we help your business find you if anybody needs to wants you to be their coach or wants to know more information? Let us know where we can follow you at.
Awesome. Yes, jasonsisneros.com, and my name's here on the screen. And so that's the website, builttoexit.biz. I'm not a business coach. I own a consulting company, which means that if you have a business, you reach out to builttoexit.biz. We've got an amazing team of about 30 people and about 10 people that are certified strategists that know all the stuff that we do. I am in the course of writing a book that'll be coming out, hopefully by June of next year. But yeah, I would say that those are the two places that you could get a hold of us. Obviously, I have a podcast. If you go find Built to Exit with Jason Sisneros on YouTube, if people want to go follow that and go see all the episodes, it's really almost exclusively about business, but you can't talk about business without life and leadership and all those other kind of things. There's some really great episodes over there. So that's probably the best way. And then the Jay Sisneros on Twitter and Jason Sisneros on LinkedIn.
Outstanding. I like it. All right. Angie, tell your daughter I said thank you for the compliment. I think that's so amazing. I appreciate her. All right. And Valerie's question was, I did say we were going to get that question answered before we wrap tonight. And Valerie asks, how do we strip the cloak of domestic violence at a mass level? That's
a great and very deep question. as a business answer, right? This is kind of how I break down everything that we're working on, and it is what we're doing when I'm, as I'm invested into the anti-domestic violence type stuff. You have to look at where it's broken down. What are the causes? And oddly enough, like my path was domestic violence. That was my first love. Second was feeding people, because food insecurity leads to a lot of abusive. My mom wouldn't leave in a lot of those instances, because then what happens to me and my little brother,
Yeah.
those kind of things. And so that was where my next step was. And then trafficking, it's all kind of part and parcel. And I think that, spreading the word of Christ, I think that's our number one job, because as we know, Christ can break down walls that man can't even touch.
Right.
And those walls are around a man or a woman's heart.
Yeah.
And so, I think the best way that we do this is, yes, systemically. You find those charities that are out there that are doing good work. We put people in office that really will do things about the problems. And there's not very many people, right? There's not very many people in our government right now that are selfless. They're mostly selfish. And I hope to lead a charge over the next 5 to 10 years to change that, to get common men and women, which is who is supposed to be sitting in those offices, not legacy families, not buying your way in, not ultra wealthy, unethical capitalism, like all that kind of stuff. I hope to shift all of that. But to break that down, it starts with you, Valerie. Starts with you, and reaching out and just knowing, like, again, if God has put it on your heart, nobody can stand against you, period. And so if that's something that you're really passionate about, and that's something that you're working on, then just keep following God's promptings, keep in prayer, and keep doing those things boldly without fear of failure.
Yes.
And I think that more people that do that, the more that we can get to the men whose hearts are hardened, that would very anti-biblically. The job of a man is to protect his bride. That is job number one. And if you're failing at that, there's something broken in that man, as there was with my adopted father, as I've seen with many men. And so I have a heart for those men, for their hearts to change. It's not to say that I won't, break through a door and take them down and put them behind bars if they need to be put where they need to be put for a little while. But at the end of the day, I'm after their hearts.
Yes.
And I think if you go for the hearts, eventually this starts to, things are getting better. That's all.
Yes.
That's what I will say, that they are getting better. And I believe that's because love always wins, but sometimes hate and darkness looks like it's winning for a little while, but we're all out here. We all have to be full of love. We all have to be full of light. And yes, and that doesn't look like being passive. It looks like Jesus flipping tables. It looks like, kicking down a door here and there. And it takes standing up against a man that's beating a woman. It takes standing up in public as a complete stranger and protecting that child that's getting beat. It takes standing up against somebody that's being harmed or abused in public, in a train or a bus or in, anywhere. It just says, as strong as you have at the strength that you've been given at this moment, it's meant to protect as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So long-winded answer to say, get it, Valerie, get it.
Man, how amazing was tonight. Whew, this was awesome. I can't keep saying that enough. But Jason, we're down to the finale question. Mm-hmm. And so how I ask this question is, once I ask the question, I'm going to pop out of the screen and you're going to have the floor all by yourself. So I want you to, dig deep and give your best response. And That's how we'll do that. And then when
How does my hair look for my close up? Is it good?
Okay. I think it's looking kind of perfect. I think it's
Excellent.
looking kind of perfect. Yeah,
Cool.
tell us how is Jason's hair looking?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments. Okay. I want to see, maybe I don't know. I think it looks perfect. Y'all let me know what y'all think.
Thank you.
All right. So I'm gonna ask the question, Jason, and then I'm gonna pop out and you're gonna have the floor.
Okay.
The no more flinching question. Jason, on this platform, we always ask, what is one area of your life or business where you decided no more flinching? And how has that decision shaped who you are today?
Mm. There I am, full screen. My grandfather had a saying that I didn't understand, but he said to me one time, he said, Jason, if you won't be offended, then you can't be. And it didn't sink in until much later in life, is that when you are walking around thinking that everybody how I finally understood what he said, I was having a conversation with Tony Robbins, and I was complaining about something. And he said, "Stop, Jason. Let me ask you a question. Who loves you the most on the face of the planet?" And I said, instantly, I said, "That's my mom." And he said, "What do you think she's thinking about right now?" And I said, "How the hell am I supposed to know?" And he just sat there and just grinned at me a little bit. And I was like, "Could you get to the point?" And finally it dawned on me what he was saying. He's saying the person who loves me the most on the face of the planet at the time, now my wife has taken that spot, but the person who loves you the most is probably not thinking about you right now. And I went, "Oh my gosh, I've been living my life up to that point by wondering, like, what does that person think of me? And what if I say the wrong person over here? I might lose love. I might lose relationship. I might lose a job. I might lose all these other kind of things." And I've been walking around, as the world has taught us, to be a fake version of who we are and not who we really are, for fear of rejection. And it dawned on me is when I really embraced the idea that nobody cares. It's not that people don't love you. It's not that people don't care about you. It's not that you don't care about other people. It's just that they're not thinking about you to the level that you think they are, that would make you modify and mute and distort and turn down in volume the true beauty of you unleashed, without having any sort of fear or of judgment or rejection or of all those things, because you totally on light. I got a necklace that I wear that was gifted to me, and it says, "The most powerful weapon on the planet is a human heart on fire." And I have found that to be so true in my life, and to be the game changer for me, to not walk around. I never want to hurt anybody, but I know that I start with love. I know that the things that I want to accomplish are in love. I love people. I love my team. I love the people that I serve. I love the children that we go to rescue. I love the women and the families that we're trying to put back together through the broken domestic violence, and through feeding people. I love all the time. Therefore, I can't spend a bunch of time wondering if I'm going to offend somebody. It goes back to what my grandfather says: you won't be offended if you can't be. You can't. I tell people all the time, I have one emotion, or I have one feeling, and it's buried under a mountain of unresolved issues. So you can't hurt it. It's a choice for me to be offended. Therefore, I can choose never to be offended. And if I'm never going to be offended, then I'm always going to be geared towards serving, and I'm always going to be geared toward loving. And that means that I'm not going to worry about what other people. I'm going to listen to one voice, and that's the voice of my Almighty Creator. And I'm going to follow that path until I get home. That's the greatest thing that I have come up with. That's my no flinching. I don't flinch in the face of judgment. I don't flinch in the face of opinion. I do and speak directly with the Lord, and I do what's on my heart to best ease suffering and to serve my God. That's it.
Incredible. No more flinching. Man, that was almost a little keynote right there, Jason.
I know. We're gonna have to
Stand
get the AI from this or whatever and see what I said.
something. We're gonna have to do something.
You're a fantastic host. I knew that I was looking forward. I told my wife, I go, I cannot wait to have this conversation because I know your heart. I know where you've been. I know all this stuff. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And again, just honored that we could have this conversation, knowing each other's past and reading your book and, knowing each other for quite a few years actually at this point.
Yeah.
And just this next step, right? It's just the beginning for you too.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jason. Wow. I am very inspired. It's very interesting how this,
Let's go change the world.
works. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. You all were an amazing audience tonight. Thank you for your questions that you asked, Jason. Jason, thank you for your presence. And before I forget, I just want to take a moment of silence for Adriana Young, who was murdered in Guyana, and that we will continue to pray and speak justice for Adriana Young. I want to make sure I do not forget to mention that. I said I would on every episode. But thank you once again, Jason. Man, I look forward to seeing you again, like I said, on this next episode that we're going to talk about. So we'll see where we can get you back. And they want to see you back on No More Flinching TV before you even finish today. So they were already said he needs a part 2. So they want to see you again.
That's it.
Amazing.
Well, we'll get back together. I'm in Chicago quite a few times. And, I've got a couple speaking engagements coming up over there. So we'll definitely have to get back together.
Yeah, let me know when they're going to be so I can come support.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Thank you so much, Jason.
My pleasure. Go buy her book. Anybody that's watching this, go buy her book. It's amazing. It's a gift.
Hey, you heard it from Jason, right? Thank you so much, Jason, for that shout out. And I thank you for sewing it to me and purchasing the book. And you also got the sweater. And y'all be on the lookout. I'm looking for another vendor. So if you know somebody, let me know. But I'm looking to push out some better, more improved, No More Flinching gear as well. Thank you so much, Jason.
You betcha. Love you.
Appreciate you. Love you too, man. Bye. Bye-bye. Wow, how incredible was that? Huh? That was amazing. Make sure you continue to share this link out. He dropped some. This was a class tonight, first of all. It was a class. And if you did not catch the whole episode, there's multiple episodes. Okay, Angela is saying, Jason, you delivered. He over-delivered. That's what you call over-deliver. Thank you so much, Angie, for staying the course with us. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your engagement. We really like it here when you engage and ask questions of the guests because you are giving them a chance to pour into you, which is also pouring back into them. Right? It's reciprocity. It's not just us talking, at a screen here. We want to engage with you. We want to make sure that we're sowing great seeds. So thank you for being a part of that. Love you so much, No More Flinching TV. You all are doing amazing with our subscriptions. We are almost there at our first goal of 1,000 subscriptions. So if you can help us get this out and get other people to subscribe in your family, your loved ones, the contacts in your cell phone, you know how we do. If you go watch a good movie, what you going to say? You better go watch this movie because it was amazing, right? We want you to do the same thing here with No More Flinching TV. Thank you so much. And to everyone watching, if this episode touched you, talk about it, tag a friend, replay it, reflect on it. We're just getting started. All right. Meet me right back here next week, same time, same fire. Because around here, we don't flinch. We tell the truth and we keep it moving. So this is No More Flinching TV. Tell Your Story podcast. Take care of your soul and take your story off mute.